In our example here, your close takes 12.6 days. The critical path from the last lesson says 11.1. So where did the other day and a half go? CPM assumes every person is free the moment the task is ready. Your senior accountant has 10 hours stacked on day 3. The FP&A analyst has nothing until day 5. That's not a task problem here, it's a people resource allocation problem. This lesson adds your real team to the schedule. By the end, you will know whether to fix the task or fix the staffing. So let's go to the workbook. We open this. Now you can open this too. Get close to the Gantt. Okay. This is where you define your team. I have 4 roles in the finance team and 1 demi role for the other functions. The controller is at $150 an hour. The senior accountant is at $100. Staff accountant at $60. FP analyst at $80 and the others at $100. That's your external teams, as I say, the tax, legal, operations, treasury, and so on. Over here, above the Gantt chart, each role gets a capacity per half-day slot. D-5 a.m., D-5 afternoon, D-4 morning, and so on, you understand. The controller has 4 hours during pre-close per half-day, more or less. 5 during the close. Senior accountant, more or less the same pattern with a different timing. Staff accountant has 5 during pre-close and 4 after. These numbers are not total working hours. They are dedicated close capacity. Because your people have other responsibilities. Some half days might be 0 if they are in meetings or in other projects. That's fine. You need to set it to match the reality. Now let's go to task 108. Balance sheet reconciliation. The senior accountant owns it. And if you look at column V, you see it's supposedly a 4-hour task duration. Column BS says CPM early finish hour 63. That's the earliest this task can finish if everyone is available on demand. But you see in column CD, resource finish 82.5. That's when it actually finishes given real capacity. We have 19.5 hours of delay. The task is still 4 hours of work, but the predecessors finish at hour 61, and the senior accountant doesn't pick it up until hour 72. Same pattern on the bank reconciliation. 16.5 hours gap on the staff accountant. The work is ready, the person is somewhere else. It's 2 tasks, 2 different roles, but there is a capacity problem across the team. It's not about one person's bad scheduling. At the close level, CPM finishes at hour 89, about 11.1 days. RCS finish at hour 101, 12.6 days. The gap is 12 hours, a day and a half of scheduling friction. The capacity adjusted schedule has a name. It's called resource constraint schedule, RCS. So CPM is the theory. If resources are available all the time, can do many tasks in parallel, but RCS is the reality based on the capacity of the people. Based on this, we have a Gantt chart, half-day slots, D-5 a.m. till D10 p.m. Each cell shows how many hours of that task land in that slot. The balance sheet rec we talked about is 1.5 hours in D5 a.m. and 2.5 hours in D6 a.m. It's a 4-hour task split across 2 days because the senior accountant has other work filling D5 p.m. That's scheduling friction on a single task. Let's go back to the capacity and load table. Red highlighting on the load table means that role is over capacity in that slot. Crunch. Senior accountant on D3 p.m., D3 afternoon has 8 hours of work. It's a full business day crammed into a half-day slot. D3 total, 10 hours against 4 plus 4, 8 hours of total capacity. Staff accountant D2, 9.5 hours. D3, 8 hours. Across all roles, we have 171 hours of close work for a total dedicated capacity of 638 hours. The senior accountant carries 46 of these hours. The staff accountant, 31 hours. The others, procurement, HR, sales, operations, is 59 hours. The work piles up in the first 3 close days and empties out by the end. In lean manufacturing, this kind of workload analysis and leveling is called Heijunka. It's about smoothing production so that no station is overloaded while others sit idle. When you see a spike, people are drowning. A trough means wasted capacity. That gap between them, that's your target. Your ERP gives you the source data, trial balance, sub-ledger balances, transaction logs. The capacity planner doesn't care which ERP you use. It cares how many people you have and how many hours each one is available. 2 numbers that connect directly to the diagnostic you will use in a moment. The KPI 1, close cycle time, 12.6 days. That's the RCS reality, not the CPM theory. The KPI 6 that we already discussed, the critical path efficiency, 88%. 12% of the timeline is people waiting for people. The peak load concentration at 200%, this is the senior accountant's worst lot, where we see double load for the capacity. The total cost and utilization are there too, 52.5K and 31.8%. But the CP is the one you will use the most. You now have 2 numbers for every task, the CPM finish and the RCS finish. The gap between them is your diagnostic. If you have a small gap, let's say 2 hours, the task finishes at nearly the same time with or without capacity constraint. The bottleneck is the task, so focus on shortening it. Automate a step, cut a redundant check, simplify the template. If you have a large gap, like that 19.5 hours on the balance sheet rec, the task is ready, but the person is unfree. Different problem entirely. Could you move one of the senior accountant day 3 tasks to the staff accountant? Could you shift the balance sheet rec a half day earlier by resequencing the predecessor? Could you bring a temporary resource during peak days? Those are staffing levers, not task levers. And here is where it goes wrong. Say you look at the balance sheet rec and think, that task is always late. Let's make it faster. Great idea. You spend 2 weeks redesigning the template, automating the data pool, you save 30 minutes. The close doesn't get faster. The senior accountant is still stacked 10 hours on day 3. The 19 hours of scheduling delay, you did not touch it. So you fixed a 4-hour task when the problem was about a 19-hour queue. Now flip it. A task with a 2-hour gap and 6 hours of work. Redistributing people saves nothing. The person is mostly free. The 6 hours is the constraint. Cut a step, combine 2 reviews, change the input format, task design, not staffing. The KPI number 6, the critical path efficiency at 88%, tells you the summary. But don't stop there. The task level gaps are where the actionable decisions live. Solved by the CPM to RCS gap, and your worst bottlenecks surface right away. For teams that want to outgrow this Excel model, when you want to add multiple entities, real-time capacity tracking, automated alerts when a role it's overload. That's the Power BI and Power Automate layer that we will work on the deep dive, the different course. So here's your exercise. Go to the capacity planner, rows 8 through 12. Overwrite the sample roles with your actual team. Enter each role's hourly rate. Estimate if you need to. Then set each role's available hours per half-day slot across your entire closed window. If you have fewer than 5 roles, leave unused roles blank with 0 hours. If your close is shorter than the sample window, set capacity to 0 for the slots outside the period. Don't delete or insert rows. The formulas depend on the row structure. Again, think about dedicated close capacity, not full capacity of your resources. The Gantt and all RCS calculations recalculate with your capacity. Check the load view. Which role has the worst peak? Is it worse than the sample's data senior accountant at 200% capacity on day 3? Great work on this lesson 5. Now you can see the schedule, who's doing what, when, and where the bottlenecks are. But you can't see where time gets lost inside each task. In the next lesson, the 8 types of waste hiding in your close. You will find that more than 60% of your hours go to tasks that don't directly produce financial statements.